innovation to AIoT feature. And it's a pleasure for me, Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman, saya Sandra Insana, bisa menemani keseruan acara kita kembali pada hari ini ya, yang tentunya digelar oleh the biggest IT distributor in Indonesia, Sinex Metro dari Indonesia, with Intel, dan tentunya hari ini spesial juga ya, hadir perwakilan dari Advantech sebagai speakers kita pada hari ini. Tentunya kegiatan ini Bapak Ibu juga ya merupakan salah satu series nih dari rangkaian acara Indonesia Edge AI Challenge 2021. And before we go any further, I would like to greet our speaker today, joining from Singapore. Good afternoon, Mr. Erwin Tu, as a Regional Sales Manager, IoT Sector Head, ASEAN at Advantech Co. Singapore Pte Ltd. And also there is Mr. Guang Buntan as a APGT Intel IoTG FAE Intel Technology Asia Pte Ltd. And from Indonesia, selamat siang kepada Ibu Maria Kalagi selaku IoT Aggregator Lead Intel Indonesia. And of course Bapak Ibu, first of all terima kasih nih kepada Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman semuanya ya yang sudah hadir pada siang hari ini. Ini kalau saya lihat tadi di kolom chat semangatnya luar biasa, sudah beberapa ada yang menyapa. Ini kalau boleh tahu yang hadir siang hari ini dari mana aja, boleh chat dong di kolom chat. Kita kenalan nih, yang hadir dari siang hari ini dari mana aja nih? Ada yang dari Jakarta kah? Oke, Surabaya hadir, Bandung. Wah, halo Bunia kembali hadir hari ini, luar biasa sekali. Ada Pak Brian dari Bandung, Leonard, Pak Iqbal, Pak Asep juga. Wah, Bogor, Medan, BSD Tangerang. Ini banyak sekali yang hadir ya dari beberapa daerah di Indonesia. Namun doanya sama. Dimanapun Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman berada, semoga selalu sehat ya di tengah pandemi yang lagi panas-panasnya nih ya. Mungkin kalau ada keluarga, kerabat juga yang sedang sakit nih, semoga cepat-cepat diberikan kesembuhan ya Bapak Ibu ya. Walaupun keadaan seperti ini, tapi tetap semangat terus ya menjalani segala sesuatu tentu. Dan kalau saya lihat di sini beberapa ada yang ikut kemarin ya, untuk series kemarin terkait dengan Intel Edge AI for Vision Retail. Saya lihat Bunia kembali hadir. Pak Brian juga apakah kemarin hadir nih, namanya tidak asing ya. Mungkin di sini banyak ya Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman yang sudah ikut ya dari series minggu lalu, kemudian hadir lagi di minggu ini ya, di hari ini. Ini luar biasa sekali antusiasmenya, semangatnya buat gali informasi, belajar bareng, upgrade diri, luar biasa. Dan kalau saya tebak mungkin di sini banyak yang WFH ya, atau ada yang WFO juga nih Bapak Ibu nih. Kalau saya WFH ya, kerja dari rumah, tapi kadang-kadang juga masih kerja dari kantor. Oh, Bu Eka WFH, beberapa juga mungkin ada yang WFH, ada yang WFO. Nanti kita akan beradaptasi karena memang di saat pandemi seperti ini, yang nggak tahu kapan ini semuanya ini memang nggak pasti. Tapi yang pasti adalah transformasi, digitalisasi. Di era 4.0 Bapak Ibu ini kini semuanya lebih canggih lagi, dan infrastruktur hardware, software, prosesnya ini juga harus transform, harus berkembang, dan kita harus ikutin. AI di sini jadi salah satu hal yang banyak diadopsi di berbagai sektor, mulai dari retail, manufacture, office, factory, hingga dengan banking ya. Ini semua diinovasi dan penggunaan AI ada di dalamnya tentunya, dan beberapa pun digabungkan nih dengan alat-alat lainnya yang menjadi AIoT. Nah, apalagi di saat-saat seperti ini diharuskan melakukan physical distancing ya. Ini penggunaan teknologi sangat luar biasa membantunya ya dalam hal bagaimana nih monitor, minim kontaknya seperti apa, kemudian supaya nggak terlalu banyak touch ya, interaksi tentunya dibantu juga dengan teknologi. Ini tentunya sangat membantu bukan hanya dalam hal customer, tetapi juga pekerjanya dan juga perusahaan ini yang berujung pada efektivitas efisiensi operasional perusahaan. Dan tentunya Bapak Ibu perusahaan ya, termasuk kita di sini sadar betul akan hal tersebut. Ada kebutuhan dari teknologi. Namun gimana nih caranya untuk ikut ya, mau nggak mau kita harus transform, kita gali informasi ya terkait dengan perkembangan digitalisasi kini, kita gunakan, kita adopsi ya di perusahaan kita. Nah, di hari ini Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman, kita mau bagikan solusinya. Kita mau belajar bersama ya dengan Intel dan juga Advantech. Kita akan bahas karena tentunya di sini Advantech sebagai dengan market ready solution dari Intel. Di sini kita bekerja sama, kita akan memberikan kepada Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman pemaparan-pemaparan menarik ya, bagaimana nih pengaplikasian hal-hal tersebut ya, lebih jelasnya seperti apa, nanti kita akan diskusi seru, kita akan bahas. Jadi untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman, silahkan untuk diperhatikan. Dan jika ada pertanyaan silahkan ditanya, karena tentunya ya untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman ini yang hadir di sini, dari series ke series ini merupakan orang-orang yang beruntung karena bisa langsung mendengarkan nih dari expertnya. Beberapa minggu lalu ada yang dari Intel Pusat, US, kemudian ada yang dari India, hari ini kita kedatangan dari Singapura. Jadi silahkan Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman gali informasinya sedalam mungkin, tanya ya, silahkan untuk mendrop pertanyaan selama presentasi di kolom chat yang telah disediakan, baik menggunakan bahasa Inggris ataupun menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Tidak apa-apa ya. Dan tentunya nanti di akhir acara Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman, kita akan ada pemberitahuan terkait dengan next schedule training. Jadi silahkan Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman pantengin terus supaya nanti bisa ikutin nih ya series-series Indonesia Edge AI Challenge berikutnya ya. Tentunya pembicaranya ini luar biasa, expert-expert dari berbagai negara. Yang kalau kita mau ketemu, mau ngobrol ini, kalau nyari sendiri rasanya susah banget ya. Tapi untuk di webinar ini kita benar-benar sediakan, tinggal Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman join di sini. Bahkan ajak teman-teman lainnya ya. Oke, baik tanpa berlama-lama kita akan masuk lebih dalam ke acara kita pada hari ini dengan sambutan terlebih dahulu yang akan disampaikan oleh Bu Maria Kalangi selaku AIoT Aggregator Lead Intel Indonesia. Kepada Bu Maria saya persilahkan.
Thank you Sandra. Oke, selamat siang, selamat datang kembali. Saya boleh datang kembali. Kita udah melakukan beberapa kali training webinar untuk ini, untuk HAI Challenge kita. Saya mau berterima kasih dulu buat teman-teman yang sudah hadir di sini. Tadi saya baca ada yang dari Jember. Kalau mungkin kita nggak, saya either sedih dengan adanya pandemi ini, tapi juga di satu sisi senang juga ngelihatnya kalau kita nggak adain virtual webinar atau virtual training kayak seperti ini, mungkin teman-teman yang dari Jember tadi, dari Medan, atau dari Bandung juga nggak bisa langsung juga datang, nggak bisa juga mengikuti acara ini. Di satu sisi kita turut prihatin dengan adanya pandemi ini, semoga semuanya cepat kembali normal lagi seperti sedia kala, sehingga nanti pun kami juga bisa mengunjungi teman-teman di berbagai kota. Tapi di sini saya sangat berterima kasih atas kehadiran teman-teman sekalian yang tetap antusias walaupun keadaan masih seperti ini, tapi tetap antusias untuk mengikuti training-training yang kita berikan dalam rangka rangkaian HAI Challenge ini. Nah, hari ini pembicara kita, speaker kita dari tim Advantech. Advantech adalah salah satu MRS, kita bilang market ready solution-nya Intel, yang bekerja sama dengan Intel, providing untuk tools-tools dan hardware-nya untuk AI. Mereka akan memperlihatkan, mereka akan mempresentasikan apa sih yang mereka bisa bantu terhadap AI solusinya teman-teman, apa yang mereka bisa lakukan. Dan solusi, mereka punya beberapa ready solution juga yang bisa langsung dipakai oleh teman-teman, tapi mereka juga menyediakan hardware untuk teman-teman bisa build solusinya di situ. Gitu. Nanti ada Mr. Edwin Theo dari Advantech, juga ada beberapa, kalau saya nggak salah, ada engineer juga dari Advantech yang akan bantu nanti Pak Edwin untuk menjawab pertanyaan, dan juga kalau ada apa yang harus didiskusikan. Jadi saya rasa nggak perlu berlama-lama lagi, karena teman-teman pasti lebih tertarik dengan apa yang akan disampaikan tim Advantech melalui Pak Edwin. Saya di sini tetap untuk membantu, juga kita ada Pak Guan Buntan dari Intel juga, untuk membantu teman-teman juga, and then we have Edwin and the team. So, aku nggak mau lama-lama, let's Pak Edwin yang akan menjelaskan dan presentasikan Advantech itu apa, dan apa yang bisa mereka bantu untuk teman-teman sekalian. So, jangan lupa juga nanti di akhir acara aku mau ingetin lagi, tadi seperti Mbak Sandra bilang bahwa kita punya jadwal, masih ada beberapa training lagi yang kita akan lakukan based on the HAI training ini. Jangan lupa untuk diikuti, jangan lupa juga nanti dilihat jadwalnya, and kalau ada masukan atau ada pertanyaan nanti bisa ditanyakan di akhir acara. Terima kasih sekali lagi buat teman-teman. Terima kasih atas antusiasmenya. Let's start the event with Mr. Edwin Theo. Aku kasih ke Sandra ya. Thank you Sandra.
Oke, terima kasih kembali Bu Maria atas sambutan hangatnya. Nah, tadi Bu Maria sudah sampaikan ya, memang di saat-saat seperti ini bukan saat yang mudah Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman, tapi justru tinggal kita pilih nih, mau galau-galauan aja atau pakai waktunya buat cari informasi, cari ilmu lagi ya. Jadi daripada stres mikirin mendingan kita belajar nih ngembangin diri di saat-saat seperti ini ya. Jadi nanti setelah selesai, wah keluar udah next level nih ilmunya ya. Dan tentunya sesuai yang diinfokan di awal bahwa hari ini kita kedatangan expert dari Advantage based in Singapore and we would like to discuss about our topic today. Di sini tadi juga sudah disebutkan oleh Bu Maria Advantage selaku bagian ya dari market ready solution-nya Intel ini akan membagikan pemaparan menarik untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman. Kita akan bahas terkait dengan edge computing, edge intelligence, edge AI solution. Apa aja nih tools-tools yang bisa digunakan untuk membantu mendevelop solusi ya, tentunya bisa menggunakan solusi yang memang sudah siap dari Advantage ataupun tadi Bu Maria sudah sebutkan menggunakan hardware untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman mendevelop sendiri nih. Nanti kita juga akan lihat Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman case study-nya bagaimana contoh penggunaannya di lapangan mulai dari berbagai bidang manufacture sampai dengan kesehatan. Kita akan bahas case study-nya, and if you have a question during the presentations, just put the question in the Q&A box ya. Jadi untuk pertanyaan Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman ini mohon diletakkan di kolom Q&A, jangan di kolom chat ya. After the presentation we will answer it. So Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman silahkan bertanya. Sekali lagi nggak harus menggunakan bahasa Inggris, bisa menggunakan bahasa Indonesia juga. Jangan lewatkan kesempatan tentunya untuk diskusi langsung nih dengan para expert yang sudah hadir hari ini. And for this session will be present by Mr. Edwin Tiu as a Regional Sales Manager, Embedded AIoT Sector Head ASEAN at Elfanteco Singapore Pte Ltd. So Mr. Edwin, the time is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. So I'd like to share my slides. Okay, so okay. So you can see my slide.
Okay, it's process. Now we can see your slide.
Okay, I'm going to change the presentation view. So is this correct?
Okay, this is correct. Full screen. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining today's event. Okay, so I'm the regional sales manager based in Singapore for the embedded IoT division. So Advantage, a little bit of the background of the company. We are actually the largest industrial PC company worldwide. So we actually have we cover many different verticals. In fact, our sales team are divided into 4 key sectors. So I'm one of the sector head for the region, for ASEAN region. So I do travel a lot. I mean, previously pre-COVID. So as you know, now due to the COVID situation, most of us are at our own places. So it's good to have the online discussion on this. So today's presentation will be more, we'll be covering about our Edge AI platform and also what differentiates us and also the different kind of software abilities or functions that we can use. Okay, and also we also showcase one of our FR facial recognition software. Okay, now let's start. Okay, first, in many projects, as we always do, we always have a very small computing device, usually situated near the equipment that you need to monitor or to control. So what we usually term them as edge computing. However, these few years, edge computing has recently undergone much more renewed focus. Because previously we still do it, it's just natural. But due to IoT, AI, and many things into the mix, the renewal of edge computing, what it can be done, there's a huge more emphasis on it. Okay, because previously, as you know, maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago, Microsoft say cloud first. But nowadays, edge has become a big interest. Okay, so if you look at the definition of edge computing, many different organizations give different definition, but they are more or less the same. So edge computing is a distributed computing paradigm which brings computational and data storage closer to the location where it's needed to improve response time and save bandwidth. In short, edge computing is whereby more and more compute workload which are typically processed at the back end, the cloud, be it a public or private cloud. Now, all the processing, the workload is processed at the edge, closer to where data is. The main key reason is to reduce bandwidth costs, faster response, instead of one round trip. That means go to the cloud and come back. So if you look at IoT, the word Internet of Things, what comes to mind? Usually you will see three things. First thing, in the typical IoT architecture, edge devices, be it the sensors or the actuators. Sensors are basically things that you monitor. Then actuators are things that you want to control. Then you have the edge IoT gateway. Okay, the typical fairness PCs or industrial PCs over here, where you consolidate all the data, you collect all the data, or the give command. Okay, and then you push to the cloud. Okay, so the key objective for edge devices is either to monitor, that means using the sensors, or to control actuators, the end equipment. Such data are then sent to the edge IoT gateway for processing. And then such gateways, right? You see the hardware layer, there's a software layer, we call that the IoT gateway middleware. That will be the one that's aggregating, filtering, processing the data, and then push it straight to the cloud. Now, because now we have AI, or even larger IoT network, and also up and coming 5G. AI itself also, all this exponentially means higher data traffic, especially when you do AI with video. If you base on each AI IoT gateway and then send directly to the cloud with video, all are very large bandwidth. Okay, and you have latency concern, how fast you want it to be, bandwidth concern, because if you dump everything to the cloud, the cost can be tremendous. Okay, so it makes more sense to deploy more smaller distributed edge IoT gateway and have the processing done at the edge. Okay, so you can save a huge amount of cost. However, if you go look at it carefully, that putting a lot of edge IoT gateway at the remote end doesn't help much. It can only do some pre-processing. But in between, there's a new layer, a new terminology that's getting popular. It's called edge cloud or edge data center. Okay, so edge cloud is similar to centralized data center, but in a very much smaller scale. Deploy also closer to the edge. So maybe each edge cloud may be interfacing to maybe say 5, 10 IoT gateway, put them together like a core network. And then this edge cloud usually will utilize cloud-based solution. That means they also support microservices, container, load balancing. Okay, and if the data is very important, you may then do both the IoT layer security and also the physical security. So right now, if you look carefully at going forward, to summarize, what we view as edge computing right now is inclusive of edge cloud. Okay, so you have if you look at the right side, you have the edge devices, the edge gateway, the IoT modules to interface, be it digital or analog, to your devices, and then the edge cloud, and then dump it to the analytics. Okay, now next. So how do we evaluate which type of edge computing to use? Here are various considerable factors to consider. Okay, now if you look at the left side, first, if you're running an IoT project, your IoT gateway middleware is very crucial. You have to select it properly. Okay, so you have to assess both the hardware and the software layer. What is the software engine that's running on the unit? Is that IoT gateway middleware proprietary? What are the expected protocol that you need to convert, and whether these protocols are supported? Usually, based on my experience, IoT gateway, the usual killer is the protocol conversion, because you need to convert it to a messaging protocol. Maybe you have to convert it to MQTT core app or whatever. Below, southbound, you may have CAN bus, you may have Profinet, you have many different field bus, you have many different protocols. Are the protocol converters supported on the IoT gateway software itself? Okay, is the software tools open source? If there are any way to remotely manage the edge gateway or the devices, what kind of security features? Security features can be a few layers. It can be the wireless security, secure boot, root of trust. Is OTA supported, over the air supported? And why OTA very important? Because if you deploy the gateway, future you may need to have application update. You need to wirelessly update it. You can't be physically going to every single gateway to install such updates. Okay, on the hardware layer, what kind of future proofing do you need? Future proofing in the sense that, okay, future there will be 5G. Do I need 5G? Do I need 556? Is the hardware able to cater for this? Okay, so on the edge AI consideration, this is also important, because when you look at AI, is your purpose for training or for inferencing? Okay, and in certain areas, right, you also need to consider, am I doing machine learning more? Machine learning is more CPU intensive. Am I doing deep learning more? Deep learning is usually for unstructured data. So usually it's more the unique accelerator chip to do the deep learning part. Okay, so and power constraint. The device which I'm going to put, is it going to be on a drone? Is it going to be an AGV? Do I have limited power? So all these things. And when it comes to power, you also worry about performance, right? So you have to balance both angles. Environmental condition. Where should the unit be deployed? It's going to be indoor, outdoor. Outdoor, you usually worry about heat. Is there IP protection, ingress protection? Wider temperature support, or necessary cert. When I say necessary cert, means in certain verticals like transportation, for a vehicle, you may need SAE J1939, ISO 7637. If in a train, you may need EN 50155. So there are many different certs that's needed for different kind of deployment. Cost. Okay, this is a very crucial aspect. When we talk about cost, many times I meet a lot of customers when they discuss about cost, they tend to they tend to focus a lot on the purchase cost. Okay, always look. The key thing is always look at total cost of ownership, what we call TCO. TCO means when you buy the item, that's a purchase cost. You have to look at what about downtime cost. If this unit becomes faulty, or I think in Bahasa it's called rosak, right? If this unit becomes that faulty, how much money you're going to lose when it is faulty? So say for example, I'm going to put in the retail environment. If this few of the ports is faulty, means a few of the lines blocked. So it's decrease my productivity. Or maybe I have a production line. Okay, so this production line, I cannot have it I cannot have it stop. So once it stopped for a few hours, how much I'm going to lose? So downtime is very important. If the downtime cost is very high, you don't mind spending more on the purchase cost. Man-hour cost, freight cost, man-hour cost is more of productivity related. If this thing is faulty, you deploy in the expressway, you're going to go spend how much time you need to spend to go down there and fix it and come back. If this keep frequent breaking down, the cost is going to be very high. So all these things, you have to factor in durability, your product long-term ability. All this is the actual cost, the real cost. Don't look just at purchase cost. Okay. Next. Okay. Now, so if with the renewed focus of edge computing, we release what we call the edge plus concept. Okay, so what's this edge plus concept? You see, edge computing, if you look from the diagram above, you can use it in many different verticals, different domains. It can be smart factory. Normally, people call this Industry 4.0, smart cities. Okay, it can be government related. It can be many others. Equipment management. So what is this edge plus? Advantech has all along been considered as an industrial or embedded hardware maker. We are still a hardware maker, frankly speaking, but we have actually slowly evolving. Now, what we do, we add more enhancement. Our customers is the system integrator. So we have added a lot of enhancement. We improve our hardware design. Okay, we use better CAD, better PCB that can tolerate high temp. Okay, we added in a lot of software utilities, like what you see from the left side, the Edge AI suite, device on remote management, face view. Okay, we have industrial peripherals, the industrial RAM, industrial flash, which you can do some monitoring and control over it also. Okay, and then we have come up with more and more edge intelligence server, okay, IoT supported, okay, and then also with the AI solutions. Okay, so we have started to focus not just on hardware. We are leveraging, using different apps to help customers to grow even faster, to use even faster. Now, Edge plus AI solution. Now we look into the AI portion. On the foundation level, fundamental level, you look at the bottom, the Intel AI accelerator cards. Okay, so Intel low power Edge AI, we call it the Mobilus VPUs. Okay, these are actually ASIC chips. They are designed for deep learning inferencing. You can call that an AI accelerator chip. So it's actually targeted to offload AI processing from the main CPU. So each VPU can achieve up to 1 TOPS or 4 TOPS coming in different various form factor. So we have the M2 2230. It's a very small chip, small board, one VPU. We have a mini PCIe. We call it the Vega 330, which have 1 or 2 VPUs, depending on whether you want to populate both, or the PCIe times 4. So you can put 4 or 8 VPUs. So you can add more eVPUs to improve performance. How many to add actually depends on how many AI algo you tend to run simultaneously. Okay, so this is, you have to test it out. Okay, so as each VPU chip have a TDP, thermal design power of 3.4 watt on average. So it's kind of hot. So we do encounter some customers using a typical fairness PC, put their chip in, and then expect it to run. So to be frank, that the Vega, those VPU chips is kind of hot. So when you design your fairness PC, you have to cater for the extra heat load. Okay, if you don't cater for extra heat load, you will die. Why? Because number one killer for electronics is always heat. You don't handle heat properly, instead of 2 years operation, 3 years operation, within 1 year it's gone. Okay, so you have to factor in. So you may do some redesign. That's why we came up with the Air series. It's actually a derivative from some of our Arc series product, but we make it to cater for Movidas. Okay, we have it from the low end Atom to the high end Xeon. Okay, we also have the Air 300 for even higher performance. So now beyond the hardware layer, we look at the software layer. We are also in Intel's Dev Cloud. So in fact, in Intel Dev Cloud, you can also select our models. Then Edge AI Suite. This is our very useful tools, utility, graphical user interface base. Okay, I'll elaborate more on this later. And then also the AI facial recognition, face view. I'll also elaborate more on this later. Now, if you look at the Dev Cloud, so Dev Cloud is a quite interesting concept. So you see, Intel came out with this Dev Cloud. You can go and register. You can actually connect to you can create your own Jupyter notebook, and then it's like a sandbox approach. You connect, you select the hardware, you test your model, see how fast the performance is, the frame per second accuracy level, is it up to par, is it what you require. Okay, instead of just investing on the hardware, you can actually test it in the cloud first. Just register, test it out. You can use our hardware to test it out. You can sense, you don't need to invest the hardware first. Once you test it out, you kind of find out, okay, this is good enough. Okay, then you can also you can notify one of our nearest Advantech office to come and to purchase and to use it for actual use. So we do have an office actually in Pondok Indah area, South Jakarta. So that's our office. One of our colleagues later introduced. He will be there. So in case anything, you can just look for him. Okay. Now, another software that we have is our Edge AI Suite. Okay, this is an interesting one. Now, if you look at OpenVINO, quite CLI driven. Now, we have a platform that is graphical user interface. See? So you can actually make it much more user friendly. Okay, we actually incorporate OpenVINO deep learning model optimizer, the model zoo, okay, the inferencing engine, into this Edge AI Suite. So you can just click, select, and then test out, test run. You can also dump it your own model into it to test run and see what's the outcome. And most importantly, many software developers, what they like is our performance measurement tool. So what I mean by the performance measurement tool, if you look at the left side, this performance measurement tool, you run your model, you look at, okay, you test it out. What's the CPU usage? What's your GPU usage? What's your VPU usage? Okay, the thermal, how hot is it? How's your CPU? All these are listed out in the simple dashboard, your memory usage. Then from here, you can actually gauge, okay, is my model really optimized? Okay, you have one glance, you can see what's the actual load, what's the memory utilization rate. So from this dashboard, okay, then you look into your own codes, your own model. Do I need to tweak? Do I need to adjust? Do I need to change it? Test run it again. Look at the performance measurement. So it's a very good way for you to play around with it, okay, to test it, to see how you can further squeeze more, to optimize more, okay, so on your own model. Okay, so this is a quick roadmap. Yeah, we do have a lot more things lining up, like Edge AI Suite. We will have renewal, new version, and newer version, because as you know, OpenVINO do every quarterly always refresh, add in more models, add in more support. So on even on the hardware side, we also will be adding more. Okay. So this is our more detailed spec sheets on the Vega 320, the M2, the Vega 330, which is 1 or 2 chip VPU, and the 4 to 8 chip Vega 340. Okay, I'm not going to go into details about each of the different specs, but as you can see from here, the thermal envelope is on the higher side, so you do have to get a PC that can cater for it. Okay, do not just choose any. Okay, now in terms of system level, we have the Air series. So we have the Air, all ranging from Atom all the way to Xeon. So you can choose the Air 100, okay, or the Atom-based Air 101. The 101 is a very popular model. You can accommodate up to 3 BPUs. Okay, then we have the Air 200 that you need multiple I/O and Core I performance. Okay, now beyond this, we also have others like the EPC C301. This is a Core I 8 Gen Whiskey Lake and very compact, many LAN port, many COM ports. It is also the reference model for the Intel's Industrial Edge Insight software. Okay, we have ARC 1551, which can also accommodate Movidas, the 3531 with an optional add-on. And then on the right is for vehicular PC. So we have many, many different options that you can choose. In fact, it's not exhaustive. I do have others. Now, now come our main focus on terms of all the new products. This one has attracted more interest, which is the latest EI52. Okay, so what's this EI52? Okay, this is basically our star product, recently released. So this is our latest micro edge intelligence system. Micro edge intelligent edge system. It's high performance, it's Core I based. It's based on the latest Intel Tiger Lake KUP3, which is the 11th gen. Ultra compact. You can put DIN rail also. Okay, hardware and software integrated. So it comes with HX IoT gateway software. Okay, if you know how to use HX, you can leverage on this. It's an IoT gateway software. We also incorporate device on remote management tool, and most importantly, the ability to expand. It's a small box. It's not very big. Okay, you can add in Movidas in there if you want, and also 5G. Okay, we cater for. Okay, so this is a more detailed spec of the whole thing. So as you know, Tiger Lake UP3 is the 11th gen Core I, and one very unique stuff is that it does incorporate Intel's VNNI, Vector Neural Network Instruction Set. So this VNNI was previously from Intel's Xeon series. They pull it down to the Core I series. So in actual fact, you can run this even without Movidas for certain things if you are leveraging certain of the VNNI instruction set or the deep learning boost. Okay, so it's a very unique and a small, very compact palm size unit. Okay, now look at 5G. Okay, if you look at 5G, 5G module right now is still at the costly side. It's quite costly at the moment. In fact, some models can cost as much as $300-400 US also. So, however, we cater for if you want. But 5G, bear in mind, when you use any 5G module, if you're running a sub-6G module, usually the thermal envelope is about 6 to 8 watt. If you're running wave, you can go up to 11 watt. So you can imagine the heat generated is quite high. So you have to cater for. Okay, but in the fairness unit. So it's not just something that you can pick it up and choose. So 5G is quite hot and the cost is on the higher side, but the performance is there. You can cater for. If your customer need future provisioning, if they need that, in future, when 5G becomes more popular, I may need to upgrade to 5G. Don't forget, when you invest in this, you can invest about 10 years, maybe 5 years down the road, and by that time 5G will be more common. Okay. Next, wireless module. We also have a wireless module. This is not Wi-Fi. These are not Wi-Fi 6, but we will cater for that. This is Wi-Fi 5, and this is also high wide temperature supported wireless module. Okay, wireless module. When you use any wireless module, many are not aware of something, which is I can get a normal temperature wireless module. I plug it in, it will work. But at a high temperature operation, it doesn't mean it cannot work. It can work, but the data throughput drops a huge lot. Okay, I do have a customer in Singapore who has faced this issue. They choose a lower cost wireless module, they plug it in, and they operate at about 55 to 60 degree operating temperature, and the wire speed is way too slow. Then when I point out you're using a normal one, then I ask him why you use a normal one. There's a cost, because the wider temperature one costs about 3 times more. But then the end customer is not able to accept that this is too slow. You know what I mean? So there are various considerable factors that you may have to look at when you select wireless module. So this is for the Movidus. So we do have it also for Movidus. You can put 2 VPUs inside. Okay, so as you know, so you can do a lot of function and do a lot of deep learning acceleration on it. So this is a very popular model, EI52, a lot of expansion capability. Now, let's look into the other software which I was referring to, device on. So this device on software is actually mainly for remote management. Okay, so when you look at IoT, the word IoT has been on the hype past few years. We call it Internet of Things. So what I mean by things, when we say Internet of Things, we are already assuming that everything can be interconnected to share information. However, one common complaint by customer, hey, I buy a lot of your devices. I buy a lot of the hardware. How am I going to manage my devices that's deployed in the field? Out in the field, when there are any of the hardware is faulty, I'm not able to preempt issues. That means I'm not able to view or give an early alert that this is going to be an issue. Then when it fails, Rosa, I need to send maintenance team to repair or replace it. Okay, you send a technician, an engineer to site, to go to the site and back, incur man-hour cost. Why? Because per hour, how much you're paying that person. Stuck in traffic, okay, that is going to waste more time. So which means your productivity also decrease. Maybe you take 1/2 day to arrive on site, troubleshoot, half day gone. Transportation cost, productivity cost. So we have to think one step more ahead, so that customers are able to do certain form of remote management. So we added in this free device on software. Okay, is basically to help SI manage all the devices. As long as you have a network, you can download our device on software, go and manage it. Okay, they can do advanced alert triggering or any anomaly in the hardware. So this is a very quick overview of all the functions that's on device on, the core function. So we focus on what are the critical one. Total management, or basically called device management, the ability to remotely access your device, and also for maintenance and operational concern, how to improve and have better efficient operation. Okay, so if you look at device management, every one of our embedded board or system, we come with an embedded controller chip, we call EC chip. So we program on each chip. It can actually monitor the health status of each device. Is it too hot? How much is processing? How much load you're using? Utilization rate. If you notice something particular or odd, okay, you can send a trigger and alert through. Maybe you have WeChat. If you have Line, you can trigger an alert to your phone. So you have advanced notice what could be wrong. Remote access. Remote access means that I can remotely maybe turn on, off the unit. I can remotely monitor the unit. Is it giving me issues? Is the connection there? Any failure? You hold on, very loud. Sorry, people drilling. Okay, so you can actually remotely, and also another thing, you can remote KVM. So I can actually remotely dial into the targeted devices. I can see what's on the screen. I can remotely go and troubleshoot. Okay, so in the maintenance, OTA updates, like what I mentioned to you, if you have any system level or software level update, it can be done. Okay, and this saves a lot of customers headaches. Okay, and we also have APIs if you want to integrate further for maybe to your own application. So this is a quick view of how it looks like. We have a dashboard view, and then each dashboard view, what's the status? Again, you can click in, you can group your devices together, okay, set certain rule engine, and then also monitor the performance of each devices. Even hard disk predictive maintenance is also there. Okay, and if you, for example, you have say remote power management, hardware watchdog, like how many seconds then you trigger the watchdog to work or the timer to do the reset. And then if you're running Windows 10, so Windows 10 IoT Enterprise has, compared to Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 IoT Enterprise has got a few very, very useful embedded enabling utilities for customers to use. And you can actually set it over here in the NL device on. Things like volume control, screen brightness control. We make it in a GUI format, easy for you. You don't need to worry so much. You don't need to program it. You have touch screen, you can on or off gesture. You've got a unified write filter. Things like this file cannot be written over to prevent crash. You can have a dialog box like USB. You can have dialog box that can block it from creating issues on the screen when it's faulty. So these are things that you can do. Okay. We also added in Acronis and McAfee. So these are bundle free version. Okay, the Acronis, basically I'll put it this way. Having these two software is a lot like selling insurance. What if? Because you use a McAfee is a whitelisting application. It means unauthorized executable can't run. So it blocks you from a lot of malware, viruses, Trojan horse, and you don't need any virus definition update. Okay, so this is actually a free version for you. It's more for in case prevention, in case you have viruses, malware. Acronis is that in case the system is down or some corruption, I can quickly, in a matter of few minutes, I can do an update. I can update it back, recover back. Okay, so this is the things that Acronis is. Instead of once the things crash, means you're going to take 2-3 hours just to fix it. Okay, so these are things that is more like insurance. What if you got to help? So remote diagnosis notifications, like what I mentioned to you, you can do a remote KVM. I can also notify by line, WeChat, and a few others. So comes to other add-ons. Okay, we do have our own industrial grade flash drive. So what is this? All this, we compared to many consumer flash drive in the market, they don't really have power failure protection. They don't really add in additional software. It's just a storage drive. You can't customize it, you can't modify it. So what we did is in this industrial flash drive, we select which component we want to put. We add in power failure protection. We have some of the models that have firmware level power failure protection, or even those that is hardware power failure protection, titanium cap. For those that have very power sensitive environment, you want to customize conformal coating, we can also do it. We have a longer product availability, 3 to 5 years. We let our sales know. We have our security features, SED support of Fix 140. Especially Fix 140 is more for government related. Okay. Now, in our besides our storage, we also add in several very useful utilities. Things like live monitoring. You can do a quick check how long this flash drive is going to last. So if once you see that's getting lower and lower, the green bar getting lower and lower to red, that means your flash drive is not going to last that long. Please go and replace before it fails. Okay. We added in security protection, security ID. So what this security ID do? We do have customers who say, hey, I'm very afraid my own end customer is going to clone my software. So I feel at risk. So what we do is that you can actually key in a specific security code in your in the flash drive. So maybe we get an API. Every time you run your software, check for a specific ID code, which only you and maybe your programmer will know. Maybe you put ABC hex. This specific code will be in the flash drive. It cannot be cloned. Everything can be cloned, the code can't be cloned. You got to manually key in every flash drive. So if your customers wanted to take the same flash drive, clone, and expect it to run, it can't run because the code doesn't run, doesn't see. For example, application you relate, once your application you write it in such a way that they'll check for the code first. If the code is present, then they'll run. If the correct code must be present. The code is not present, it can't run. So if your customer clone, he can't clone the code. He doesn't know the code. You have some form of intellectual property protection. Okay. We also have a flash lock where your hardware is connected to several peripherals. One of them is not in, one of the device is not connected, doesn't run. We also have emergency erase, key one command, the whole flash right to 0. So if there are customers, especially in the defense industry, they may also ask us to customize. What they do is that they also want the firmware to be gone. So once the familiar is gone, you pass it back to advanced tag with the match. Okay, so we have many forms of customization that if you want. Okay, in fact, we also in our RAM, we also have a better design. We use original memory chip from Corsair. Okay, we have a SPD security. Okay, right protect software. Our golden finger is 30 micron instead of 3 micron. 30 micron is thicker golden finger, especially for vibration proof. So you can do customization. You want anti-sulfur coating, conformal coating, underfill, all this can be done. In fact, we even have a software. So what this software is under what called presence backup, serial presence tag. So what it does is, when you go outside and buy a RAM, typically outside and buy a RAM in the market, you say, oh, DDR4 2666, 2933, 3200. Okay, these are the supported ones. You go and buy the RAM based on the computer that you have. They will usually clock it at certain speed, but it's not fixed. You can actually use our SPD, our software, to fix it, to make your program more stable. So say, for example, I'm only going to run at 2666. I can lock it to 666. So these are some flexibility. Okay. So there's a thermal sensor there. So in case some of the chip motherboard may not have a thermal sensor on the motherboard, so they don't know whether it's going to fail. So we have a thermal sensor on the RAM itself. So that can also give you certain alerts to trigger, is it overheating? Okay, last part, which is our face view. This is one of our this is our AI facial recognition software, which we partner with CyberLink. This is our software partner. So face view basically is a FR facial recognition software, which you can also integrate further. We provide you the SDK and the APIs. Okay, so what does face view do? A quick look is we have many different platforms. In fact, it can even run on Atom. It can run on Core I also. So it depends on number of how you select. It depends on number of photo database that you want. The number of people in the photo database. You can do facial recognition. We have another version that can detect you with the mask. That means you can't run away. Even you wear a mask, I also can recognize you. I will also have a version that is mask plus body temperature screening. What's your temperature at your forehead? Okay, so these will be combined with certain thermal cameras which they have tested. So the accuracy rate is very high. It's 99.7%. Okay, that's considered quite high. Okay, why mask detection? Actually, to be frank, you go out, you find a lot of facial recognition software. When it comes to wearing masks, big headache, cannot recognize. I've encountered quite a lot also wearing masks, must pull the mask down, expose the nose, then they can recognize. So there are many different variants of facial recognition. So you have to ask the customers what they need. So we even add it for mask detection, because as you know, right now due to COVID situation, a lot of people wear masks. Okay, and it's mandated, like in Singapore, we have to wear masks. So the software engine, it can run on Windows 10, Linux, the database based on Mongo. Okay, and you have the AI engine, and then after that, the extended feature. You can use the UI. You can also customize UI if you want in the API. So there's internally at least one GPU or two, up to you. If you want to accelerate faster, you want to have lower CPU loading, you can do that. Okay, accuracy level from CyberLink Face View. You can see from NIST ranking, CyberLink Face View is ranked at number 12 worldwide. Okay, number 12 to number 1 is about 0.27% in terms of accuracy. So they're very close. Face view accuracy, you can see from here, is very high, and the template size, the model size is there. Okay, so you can see from here all the actual data. And moreover, if you plug in the Intel Movidas, okay, CPU usage reduced 30%, and recognition speed improved 10 times. Okay, so these are things that, because the Movidas used to offload most of the CNN or the word processing. Okay, so these are the key features inside Facebook. So you can see from here, if you register your name, you register based on this photo belongs to who. So you can also create grouping, you can edit, you can also set blacklist who are the, you can set who are the blacklisted or who are the VIPs. Okay, and then trigger alerts accordingly. You can check history view. So if the new version, mass and temperature, okay, it can detect you even if you wear a mask. In fact, we have done a demo of this to the Singapore Health Promotion, Singapore Ministry of Health. So they have actually done some testing on it, and the accuracy level is there. It's very good. Okay, up to 95% accuracy for mask wearing individual, and you can also detect, are you using what kind of mask? Surgical mask, cotton mask, all this kind of thing. Okay, so the APIs that we support, you can see from here, video source acquisition API, model accuracy. So you can take it further, to develop further for your customers to use. Okay, many applications can be used for this. It can be for terms of security. You can identify staff. I think this is a very common one. Now with the mask on, okay. You can also retail. You can also assign, is this a VIP customer? Okay, in the office, in the factory, you control access to people. Okay, so there are many ways of checking. Okay, we also can integrate with Intel RealSense, so they make sure you authenticate. There's a depth sensing. This is a real person. Okay, now, so besides face view, the last few slides will be more on certain application cases where you can use with Intel Mobilis. The Vega 330 is these are real applications. So the Vega 330 is basically our 2-chip EPU solution. So we add it into a fanless box PC, you plug it in. I'm not sure this is a fanless box or just a pure board, but it's more for AGV use. Okay, you can actually do navigation using camera vision. This is for medical in a hospital. This USM model is a medical grade certified box. Okay, and we plug in the Mobilis with AI solution, so they can actually recognize the pattern faster. Okay, fruit, especially when you go to a conveyor, many fruits come in, so you need to be very fast speed. So it's more like machine vision but with AI. Okay, and in compact unit and touchless control system for elevators. Okay, you can recognize the person. Okay, who is using it, who has been there. So these are the basic G's of what we can do with our HAI model. So I come to the end of my slide. So if you have any questions so far, hope that you all have a good overview of what we offer. Thanks everyone. So let me look at the Q&A. I stop sharing.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Edwin, for your presentation. Dan kepada Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman yang sudah hadir di sini, itu dia tadi kita sudah dengarkan presentasi dari Mr. Edwin ya, terkait dengan tema kita pada hari ini. Dan tentunya kita buka sesi tanya-jawab. Beberapa tadi saya lihat sudah ada yang bertanya di kolom Q&A. Dan untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman lainnya, jika masih ada pertanyaan, silahkan saja di drop di kolom Q&A yang telah disediakan selama sesi tanya jawab kita. Dan tadi juga kita sudah dengarkan ya pemaparan dari Mr. Edwin terkait dengan HAI solution. Kita di awal diajak mengevaluasi nih terkait dengan kriteria edge computing, mulai dari sisi wireless support, HAI consideration, IoT gateway, middleware, bagaimana environment ya, conditionsnya, indoor, outdoor, temperatur dan lain-lain. Kita diajak untuk mengevaluasi. Kemudian kita bahas juga tentang terkait HAI, intelligence solution, bagaimana akselerasi AIoT with edge to cloud integration di smart factory, smart city, intelligence equipment. Di sini Advantage juga membawa solusi hardware dan juga software solution ya untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman with edge intelligent wise PaaS core-nya, dan tentunya di sini bekerja sama dengan Intel Bapak Ibu dengan menggunakan toolkit Intel OpenVINO dan juga komponen Intel lainnya. Tadi kita sudah sedikit ya diberikan gambaran bagaimana use case-nya, dan kepada Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman kita akan masuk lebih dalam ke sesi tanya jawab. Jadi untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman yang sudah hadir di sini, sekali lagi jika ada pertanyaan silahkan untuk mendropnya di kolom Q&A yang telah disediakan. Kita akan jawab pertanyaannya baik untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman di sini ya yang menggunakan bahasa it's okay, in English pun it's okay. So, Mr. Edwin, we will answer the questions in the Q&A box. There is some questions. Okay, first, I want to...
First one, second one, I don't understand.
Okay. will answer the questions from Bintang. Okay. No. I think it's better we. Okay, you always typing. You start typing about Brian's questions, so we answer it live. Okay. The question is, what can we do make AI and intelligent solution look attractive to customer if we use hardware from Advantech?
Something like that.
Okay.
Is it appear or appear? No, disappear.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought, yeah, my answer is here.
Okay. You answer. So you can explain by live too, Mr. Edwin, so everybody in here can hear the questions because only Mr. Brian can read it. Okay.
Okay. So what Brian have asked is, dear Mr. Edwin, okay, what can we do to make AI and intelligent solutions look attractive to customer if we use hardware from Advantech? So my answer is this. First consideration is what kind of specific objective that the customer needs. It's not hardware that is important. It's more of what the customer really need. Then whether it can really fit their need from a solution standpoint. Okay, then you look at the bigger overall first. So if you say what is the question we face using hardware for Advantech, I'm assuming that they are worried about cost. So I'll put it in a very simple context. Cost to many end customers are very important because they usually ask for the price. But in reality, in every project, cost can be at the top 3 most important criteria, but it can never be number 1. If it's number 1, then the customer most likely may buy something that may not last that well or may not really meet his full objective. So that, like what I mentioned earlier, always look into total cost of ownership, TCO. What's the purchase cost? What if the thing spoil, goes up? What's my downtime cost? What is my repair cost? What is my productivity cost? What is my all these costs? Factor in everything when you propose to your customer. So if I won't be the one that will say our items are expensive, I won't be, but it's more value for money. So if the customer is just purely cost, then at some stage I may walk away. This is what I would do. But hardware from Advantech, so far, if you look carefully, we're not just selling hardware. We have many things that can help your software developer develop faster. We have many things that can, and then moreover, our design of our hardware actually is more stringent than a lot of people. I give a simple example. Our fanless unit. You know, actually, a lot of fanless PC companies, when they test, they have all those tests that they conduct for their fanless unit before they send to customers to repair, now to deploy. Some, I won't name the companies, they put, oh, my operating temperature can go up to 70 degrees, 65 degrees. But what are the parameters they use to test? Some of them they test, okay, the international guideline is a fanless PC cannot be used in a fanless environment. The guideline is typically 1 meter per second airflow. Advantech is stricter. We use 0.7 meter per second airflow. Slower airflow. Okay, and we test at 100% CPU loading. We do have other manufacturers that test at 75% CPU loading and they put operating, but they won't state in their data sheet. You have to ask them for a test report, and they may ask you for NDA because they don't want to review that. So we are much more stricter when we choose our PCB, our printed circuit board. I mean the PCB we use TG150 and above, or maybe the solid cap we use etc. So we use a better quality, higher quality parts. Obviously, our BOM cost will be higher. So normally I don't really discuss with the purchaser on this, but these are the things that we have to factor in. Look at the overall perspective first. Don't look at the hardware first. Look at overall. It must meet the customer need. If it doesn't address the customer need, cost is a secondary concern. Then next one will be, I think how many questions are 6? Okay. Yeah. Oh, you want to translate first? You want to translate first? You translate.
Okay, I will read it to you. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Edwin, for your nice answer. Semoga menjawab Pak Brian untuk pertanyaannya. And Mr. Edwin, sometimes your voice is so far, so please speak louder for the next questions. Okay, still from Mr. Brian. The question still from Mr. Brian. The question is, Mr. Edwin, you said about the evaluation criteria for edge computing. Can you give the advice about the best practice, yeah, when we as a solution provider come to customer to offer a solution? How can we make this edge computing solution something that is considered by them? It's deep. Okay, you can answer it.
Say again. Something that is.
Sorry. Okay.
You say again.
Okay, I will read again. Yeah. Okay, you said about the evaluation criteria for edge computing. Can you give the advice, yeah, about this practice when we as solution provider come to customer to offer a solution, edge computing solution? How to make them consider about edge computing solution is needed, is needed and is important.
Oh, okay. Usually, when we look into this, first you must understand most customers when they want to buy a solution, either they want to save money or earn more money. It's either these two. Okay, so you must know how to quantify it. So, for example, if they deploy this solution, how much is the productivity increase? How much is or maybe the wastage should be lesser, or maybe certain things. That means in a way it helps them save money. The other way is help them generate money, maybe in a way like, okay, I know what the customer preferences are. I know firsthand what are the demand. I can know what are the items to purchase first or what are the items to sell based on the demand. What most solution is that I want to do certain form of pattern recognition. I want to recognize, is this really in demand or is it just hearsay or something like that? So if you're able to quantify the amount the customer save or earn, then you are somewhere there. You know what I mean? Because most customers end up is just they want to buy certain things for certain objective. So that is the usual way I will look at it. Then if you are able to quantify it, or you save this amount X dollar by doing this, I tell you, the customer will take note. In fact, most end customers, especially the end user, they don't know anything about IT. But if you can create a dashboard that they can see how much they save, how much they earn, how much the pattern, or they can see certain things that usually they cannot see, but they are interested to know, you have a buy-in from the end customer. And then they may ask you to go for a trial, a POC, point of proof of concept. Your proof of concept should be start small and scalable. That means start small, but you cannot stretch, say, think big, start small, but you cannot say wait until proof of concept 6 months later, then the customer can see result. Most customers cannot wait that long. So they maybe will be within 1 or 2 months, you must show certain cost saving or improvement. Then the customer will buy the concept. Then you have the second challenge. The second challenge will be, what will happen is the OT guy and the IT guy will have conflict. And you need to have the buy-in from the big boss, because the OT guy, say IT guy don't understand what I want. IT guy say, hey, you don't care about my security. So there will be conflict. So you must know how to balance between all of them. Else your project won't last.
I see. Oke. Bu Maria ataupun Pak Endro Solistio, jika ada hal-hal yang ingin ditambahkan, silahkan ya Bu Maria. Apakah ada yang ingin ditambahkan juga, Bu? Atau Pak Endro?
Sejauh ini sih enggak, Bu. Tapi feel free, Pak, kalau nanti ada pertanyaan yang mungkin mau lebih lanjut di follow up, ataukah nanti menyangkut apakah Bapak ingin trial demo unit kami, feel free, nanti bisa hubungin saya nanti emailnya bisa saya share. Kebetulan kantor kami ada di Jakarta, di TB Simatupang di Lebak Bulus. Mungkin itu aja sih Bu Sandra.
Oke, thank you so much Pak Endro atas pemaparannya ya. Oke, jadi kalau jika ada hal-hal yang ingin lebih jelas, tentunya bisa langsung menghubungi Pak Endro untuk nanti kita schedulekan di luar webinar ini. Baik, Mr. Edwin, we will answer another questions. Okay. Maybe you can type or you wanna say.
Okay.
You wanna answer my
Okay.
live?
So I asked okay, maybe I answer another question is that WisePass device on the remote management
Yes.
software empowers intelligent that can support controller and manage all the edge computing device. Is it must be only Advantech brand only? So my answer is device on at the moment only works with Advantech's hardware. However, our device on software team can also customize remote management software on your existing hardware, but we need to evaluate the feasibility, and also there will be NRE, there will be certain costs incur for the development effort so put it this way. Yeah, it can be done, but they will have to evaluate based on what's the actual hardware you have and whether they have ways to configure it. You know what I mean? Because there are certain embedded controllers we can use that to configure, but that will incur certain NRE, certain costs for development costs. Yeah.
Oke, baik Pak Brian, 3 pertanyaan hari ini semoga menjawab. Jika masih ada pertanyaan lainnya silahkan untuk di-drop di kolom Q&A yang telah disediakan, atau jika masih ada yang kurang jelas silahkan langsung diketikkan di kolom Q&A ataupun di kolom chat yang telah disediakan. And there's another questions, two questions again, Mr. Edwin. Okay, we will answer the question from Mr. Novianto first. The question is it possible for IoT device to be upgraded or change to AIoT? Where is the biggest problem if it can be? Can I understand? Okay.
Okay, IoT device to upgrade to AIoT. That is okay. When we okay, you actually IoT is just Internet of Things. AIoT is still using the same concept. It's just that you may have you may want to put certain deep learning or machine learning at the edge. Then you rename it AIoT. Then that's the major difference. So it also depends on your app. Are you going to use AI algo into the system? That means I want to recognize certain pattern from unstructured data like videos or certain things. I may use CNN or several other network, or then we call it AIoT basically. I do certain edge processing. It's not just, but the first thing you must ask is this what is needed, because sometimes like I do encounter certain customers is that this one is machine learning, nothing to do with deep learning. Machine learning is CPU based. Your CPU need to be very fast, need to have multiple core, that kind of thing. Whether you have it accelerator or don't have an accelerator, it's not so important because you're not going to offload it much. It's basically a CPU gameplay. But if it's deep learning, then your accelerator will help you. Then the next question I will ask is which framework you're going to use, which model are you going to use. You know what I mean? Sometimes people will look at tops or flops or T-flops, but these are just rough guidelines. So you have to check what are does your solution really need AI or don't need? You know what I mean? AI can help only on certain situation. And then sometimes also look at the maturity of that solution, whether is it feasible.
Oke, baik. Semoga menjawab Pak Novianto ya untuk pertanyaannya. And we move to another questions. Maybe this is the last questions ya, Mr. Edwin from Bintang Alam. The question is there any project opportunity vacancy to conduct innovative AIoT project with Intel maybe?
Yes, definitely. So we okay, but first I want to highlight one thing is that Advantech is more of a platform provider than a solution provider. We are more of a platform provider. So what I mean by that, for example, you see Intel supply the processor, supply the maybe certain boards or anything. So Intel provide you the platform. You develop further from that platform. So Advantech or maybe Microsoft is Azure, right? AWS is the cloud, right? For AWS cloud. So they provide you the cloud, the platform for you to run on. How you want to configure is up to you. So Advantech similarly is that we are also a platform provider, but we do more in a way that we have the embedded board, the box PC, the software, the embedded the utilities to help you develop faster or or meet certain requirements even faster. That means something like that. But the actual development is, most of it is had to be done by customers. Now, we also have something that is similar to Intel's MRS or RRK, where we call it service ready platform, or say service ready platform, yeah, SRP. I usually call it semi-ready platform. What I mean, because for example, FaceView is a facial recognition software. You can use it by itself for simple apps, but most customers maybe, no, I want to use the engine, but I may want to develop further. Then we just give you the platform, you can develop further. That's one way. We also have another one for vibration monitoring. So what it does is that it can help you do all the vibration monitoring portion really. That means that part is done, is more or less done for you. 70% done. You develop the further 30%. Why? Because your end customer will tell you, no, I want to see this. I don't want to see this. No, this is not important. This one is very important. You have to customize the dashboard or customize certain things for the customer to use. We create the platform for you. You can customize this. So instead of maybe say you take 6 months to finish certain things, maybe within 3 months you finish it, or 2 months you finish it. So this is the kind of thing that we provide for customer. But we are not a solution provider. We don't provide the full solution.
Oke, baik. Kepada Pak Bintang, semoga sudah cukup menjawab untuk pertanyaannya. And Mr. Erwin, I think that's all the question. Is there any conclusion or anything you wanna say it again? Or you know?
No, but if you have if you have any questions or any queries, you can just shoot the email to us. Okay, it will be me or Andrew can also help address your answers. Andrew is actually our colleague based in Jakarta. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay. So anything you can ask. He's also quite capable. Don't worry. He's good.
Oke, baik. Jika Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman masih ada pertanyaan atau ada hal-hal yang ingin disampaikan, bisa langsung email juga ya, bisa langsung menghubungi ke Pak Andrew Sulistyo juga. Dan Pak Andrew, apakah ada hal-hal yang ingin ditambahkan kembali Pak atau sudah cukup?
Sudah cukup Bu, nanti mungkin alamat emailnya saya share di kali ya.
Boleh, di kolom chat di-share ya Pak ya. Bu Maria ada ingin yang ditambahkan Bu Maria atau sudah cukup? Oke, sepertinya sudah cukup ya. And once again, Mr. Erwin, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Erwin. Okay, thank you so much for your presentation and thank you so much for your answer. Stay safe and healthy ya, Mr. Erwin.
Yes. Thanks. Same to all of you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Oke, Bapak, Ibu, dan juga teman-teman yang sudah hadir di sini, itu dia tadi ya, kita sudah dengarkan pemaparan terkait dengan topik kita hari ini. Kita sudah ngobrol seru, diskusi seru ya. Nah, untuk Bapak, Ibu, dan juga teman-teman yang sudah hadir di sini, tentunya ini bisa juga tadi ya, sudah diinfokan di email, ada endro.sulistyo@fantech.com. Jadi jika ada hal-hal yang ingin disampaikan, ingin ditanyakan, ingin ngobrol lebih lanjut, bisa bersama dengan Pak Endro ya, yang ada di Indonesia. Dan tentunya semoga pemaparan yang tadi diberikan ini bisa benar-benar dimengerti ya, untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman, bisa menjadi solusi, bisa menjadi tambahan informasi. Dan tentunya Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman yang sudah hadir di sini, saya akan mengajak Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman untuk melihat nih next schedule training kita, ya, series dari Intel HI Challenge 2021. Untuk kedepannya ini paling dekat di tanggal 13 Juli 2021. Oke, kita kedatangan speakers. Tentunya ada Mr. Chen Su as a Product Marketing Professional at Intel, and there is a Fages Patel as a Software Engineer at Intel, and Mr. Nelson as a Technical Lead at Intel Corporation. Nah, untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman, silahkan join. Jangan lupa, ini ada early bird nih ya. Jadi silahkan datang lebih awal juga tentunya. Dan jangan lupa juga nih, langsung di screen capture atau bisa langsung di scan seperti itu ya, untuk daftar tentunya ikut ke acara series kita berikutnya yang akan diselenggarakan sekali lagi pada tanggal 13 Juli jam 9, jangan lupa ya. Dan ini kita terbuka untuk umum, jadi silahkan kalau ada teman-teman lainnya ingin belajar ya, khususnya tema kita pada minggu depan ini terkait dengan prototype and deploy using the latest developer tools with Intel Edge Software Hub and AIoT Developer Kits. Nah, ini ajak aja, di-share aja linknya, segera daftar dan juga ikuti nih webinar kita pada tanggal 13 Juli 2021. Ya, dan untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman yang sudah hadir di sini, sekali lagi kita sudah sampai di ujung acara. Jangan lupa nih, mungkin ada yang minta ya di kolom chat di share link registrasinya, bisa sambil di capture juga. Nanti kita juga mungkin akan share ya untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman. Dan intinya kita sudah sampai di penghujung acara. Semoga pemaparan yang tadi sudah dipaparkan ini bisa benar-benar dimengerti ya Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman yang hadir di sini. Ini luar biasa, kita menghabiskan waktu 1,5 jam dengan hal-hal yang bermanfaat ya. Daripada galau di tengah pandemi, mendingan upgrade diri tentunya ya. Baik, akhir kata saya Sandra Isana Sari pamit undur diri. Sampai jumpa di next training berikutnya ya. Saya tunggu lagi nih untuk Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman, dan semoga silaturahmi senantiasa terjalin dengan Sinex Metro Data Indonesia dan juga Intel. And see you, have a nice day Bapak Ibu, stay healthy everyone, and see you next week. Bye bye. Thank you.